What are 4 things you need to make sure to do in a good statement of purpose for your doctorate or your master's application? Stick around, let's talk about it today in this episode of Navigating Academia. What's up, Navigating Academia family? This is your buddy and personal academic mentor, Dr. Phoenix Singh, coming at you to be able to answer a valued viewer's question, which I was asked the other day. And this was, what are my big recommendations for writing a really quality statement of purpose for graduate school, whether you're applying for a master's degree or a doctoral degree? Now, if you want to learn step-by-step, sentence-by-sentence, and get all of my templates, as well as my 5-paragraph strategy for getting into grad school when it comes to a killer personal statement, but also stuff like writing a diversity statement, interview prep, you name it. Be sure to check out a free trial down here at publicationacademy.com. This is the #1 resource online for getting into graduate school, and once you're in there, learning everything you need to know about advanced skill sets like publishing in high impact factor journals, conference paper and poster proposals, grant writing, you name it. Like I said, they got a free trial, you got nothing to lose. Check it out, okay? So today we're discussing one of the most important parts of the grad school application process, which is your statement of purpose, also known as a personal statement. Now, for those of you who don't know, a statement of purpose is a written essay that showcases who you are, what you're interested in, and why you're the right candidate for that specific grad school program to work with that specific grad school supervisor. It's usually one of the most important parts of the application, and it can make or break your chances of getting accepted, and that is absolutely the truth. All right, so in this video, I'm gonna be sharing with you 5 things that you absolutely must do in your statement of purpose to make it stand out from the rest, okay? So #1 is being specific, but also being concise. A big issue that I see people usually have is that they will write multiple statements of purpose for multiple different programs, and these multiple programs usually have different word counts. They'll say, hey, it needs to be 500 words for this program, it needs to be 1,000 words for this program, it needs to be 4 pages double spaced for this program, so on and so forth. And people think they need to fill all of the space. It's not true, right? Elegant writing is king. Parsimonious writing, saying the most with the least, is king here. I call it the 10% rule. If they end up telling you that this thing can be, let's say, 500 words, okay, then arguably it can be 450 to 550 words. My recommendation though, 450 to 500, specifically because in some cases, if you're applying, they have an application portal, sometimes you gotta copy paste everything. And when you copy and paste it, it won't let you go longer than that. So in that case, if you're going over, it's problematic, all right? But one of the biggest mistakes that students make when writing their statement of purpose is being just too vague, too generic, and they usually do it because they're applying to too many programs. For PhD programs, if you watch the channel, I recommend 5 to 7 programs max. Some of you guys ream me out for it, and you're just like, yo, the more programs, the better. And then you end up calling me the subsequent years saying, Dr. Singh, I applied to 15 programs, 20 programs. I had somebody last year, 26 programs, 26 rejections. It's a bad idea, right? And the only way to do it without going nuts is to be able to literally have a very vague and generic statement of purpose and to be able to put it out there and just hope and pray that basically you're going to catch one fish instead of doing a huge, very high specificity deep dive into those particular 5 to 7 programs. I mean, to be honest with you, 3 to 5 programs is even better. I applied to 3 graduate schools. That was it. Got accepted to all 3 grad schools. Fully funded for all 3 of them, ended up going to Oxford, right? And this was just a brutal, brutal process. Actually, Oxford was not fully funded because they didn't offer those fully funded options. But all the programs in the United States I applied to, including a 7-year double doctorate, ended up being fully funded. And in addition to that, I won scholarships to be able to get stipends, in addition to the tuition waiver, you name it, all right? So in the personal statement, in the statement of purpose, instead of talking about your broad interests, your broad goals, you need to focus on specific experiences and achievements that relate obviously to your field of study. And additionally, we gotta make sure that you stay within the word count limit to the extent, like I said, in terms of 10%. All right, you just want to avoid at all costs some rambling essay. Trust me on this one, we see them all the time, okay? #2 is to be able to highlight your research experience. Usually in my 5-paragraph structure, this is paragraph number 3, okay? It's very important, but it depends on the type of program you're applying to, but if it's a PhD, this is almost always paragraph 3, okay? And this is another important aspect of the statement of purpose. You want to showcase that research experience. If you have any previous such experience, you got to include and explain what you learned from it, all right? What was your position? Try not to name drop, right? But either the name of the lab, I guess maybe you can name drop, but you don't want to name drop the name of the person you worked with or the people you worked with unless they are very well known, like super famous in this particular subfield, or if there's a personal connection between the individuals you name drop and the target supervisor. Otherwise, people are gonna have no idea who you're talking about, even though that person at your university may be a big deal, okay? That's important. Why? Because I have this idea that I always tell people about, that there's always somebody who's going to be on these application committees, the admissions committees, that, to be honest with you, they're kind of a jerk. They do not want to be doing these admissions committees, like service, as they call it, service opportunities within the department, but sometimes they have to. They're required to be able to do it, and they're misanthropic, and they're having a bad day for whatever reason, and they're gonna try to find any reason to not like you, and if you end up doing all this name dropping, they're gonna be like, this person thinks that they know all the important people in the field, and these people in their minds, because they're having a bad day and they're kind of jerks, they'll be like, that's not an important person, da, 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 right? Even though they're definitely important to you. The third thing you want to make sure to do is to discuss your future goals. Okay, so in addition to talking about your past experiences, you also want to talk about your near-term and long-term goals that you want to achieve with your grad school degree. And again, be specific. Okay, talk about the kind of research that you want to do, the impact that you hope to be able to make. Again, don't be too, I will use the term emotional. So for example, like, oh, I want to change, the lives of individuals, da, 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 da. That's wonderful, and I love it, and me too. I get it, right? But we don't want to be that vague, that generic, that maudlin, in these sorts of things. It's overly subjective language, as they would call it, right? But if you end up talking about what your goals are, it's going to demonstrate your motivation and your drive to succeed in your chosen field, all right? Number 4 to me is one of the most important things you gotta make sure to do, which is to talk about goodness of fit with your target supervisor and your target program. This usually is in paragraph 5 of my 5-paragraph structure. There's a very specific way to do this that you'll learn in the Publication Academy course. But I am telling you right now that when it comes to goodness of fit, you need to talk about, first, I just mentioned supervisor and program. Focus on the program first. Try to find at least 3 things about the program that they think is unique, and then I want you to follow it up talking about the supervisor. What's the nature of the work that they do that you love? How do you want to, contribute to their research line, and what are the implications of the work that you hope to be able to do, okay? So those are the things that I would tell you that are so important to be able to put into your personal statement. They are things you must do, in my opinion. So in conclusion, a well-written statement of purpose can make a big difference, obviously, in your application. Be specific and concise, show that passion, highlight your research experience, talk about your future goals, and make sure that obviously you're talking about goodness of fit, and then you're proofreading and editing everything. Have other people look at it. You, of course, can have me look at it. Just hop down here to gradschoolapplicationcoach.com, book a one-on-one session with me, and let's go through it and make sure that you are standing out from the rest. I can tell you that people usually, if they have gone to career services, shown their supervisor, their parents, their friends, woo! Still, their personal statements, not great. One of the reasons I have an 80% success rate in getting people into their dream programs is because I help specifically with the personal statement. I'm telling you that right now. So, as always, if you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section below, because I love hearing from you guys. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and get out there, guys. Get out there. Communicate with your target supervisors as soon as you can. It's super important, all right? And then we are going to work together to be able to make sure that we have killer application materials. Love you guys. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. Share it with your friends, colleagues, and students, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace. Thank you so much for stopping by, everyone. It's a pleasure to have you here as always. If you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more in this series on navigating academia, please click on one of these links over here to be able to view more original content. I hope to see you there.